suspended Washington Azem Victor won't be returning to Huskies as he signed with agent. Azem Victor has indeed played his final down for the Washington Huskies. According to Adam Jude of the Seattle Times, Victor will not play in the December. In fact, Jude tweeted, "The linebacker has already signed with an NFL agent and has been working out in preparation for the April draft for several weeks now." Victor was indefinitely suspended in mid-November after being arrested for driving under the influence. The senior was also suspended for the 2017 opener against Rutgers earlier this year. A 2016 All-Pac-12 performer, Victor started the Huskies' first 10 games before being lost for the season with a broken leg, missing Washington's win in the Pac-12 championship game win and college football playoff loss to Alabama. Still, Victor finished third on the team with 67 tackles to go with 3 TFLs, 1 pass defended, 1 forced fumble and 1 fumble recovery. Victor entered the 2017 season as a preseason All-American. Playing in 9 games this year, Victor was credited with 30 tackles, 3 pass breakups, 2 sacks and 2 tackles for loss. Overmatched Virginia has no answers as Navy would shed Huskies Military Bowl round. Navy began its 2017 season at a promising 5-0 before stumbling to a 1-6 finish to barely reach bowl eligibility. The doom and gloom of the last half of the regular season, however, gave way to 2017 being put to bed on a positive note for the Service Academy. After jumping out to a 28-7 halftime lead, Navy kept up that momentum throughout the second half and claiming an impressive 49-7 cheating of Virginia in the Military Bowl. With the win, Ken Niumatalolo improved his record in bowl games to 5-4 as the midshipmen claimed the Military Bowl, played on its home field, for the second time in 3 years. Despite the win, Navy, at 7-6, did put the finishing touches on its worst season since going 5-7 in 2011. That said, a punishing ground game and their opponents' benevolence ensured the Service Academy would head into the off-season with a record north of the .500 mark. Coming into the game second in the country averaging 343 yards per game, the midshipmen passed that average in the third quarter en route to putting up 452 yards on the ground. Starting quarterback Malcolm Perry led the way with 114 yards rushing while adding a pair of touchdowns on the ground. Perry was injured early in the third quarter, however, and was replaced by the man he replaced as the starter, Zacoby. After rushing for a pair of first-half touchdowns, AB added 3 more in the second half to give him a Military Bowl record 5 and Player of the Game honors. AB ran for 88 yards, while Chris High chipped in with 101. All told, a whopping 10 Navy players were credited with at least 1 carry. Navy attempted just 1 pass in the contest, which fell incomplete. Not that they needed the help, but the midshipmen were greatly aided by 3 turnovers by the Cavaliers. Those 3 turnovers, incidentally, were turned into 21 points by Navy. While not counting as a turnover officially, the Huskies also handed the ball back to the midshipmen inside UVA's 25-yard line when their punter touched his knee to the ground prior to getting off a punt late in the third quarter. Navy, of course, turned that into more points on AB's 5th touchdown. Even when they maintained possession of the ball, UVA couldn't do much with it. Through 3 quarters of play, the Cavaliers managed just 138 yards of offense, including a woeful 5 yards on 14 carries. They would finish with a season-low 163 total yards and averaged 1.7 yards per rush attempt. In fact, their only score of the game came when the opening kickoff of the first half was returned for a touchdown by Joe Reed. Virginia finished the 2017 season at 6-7, the sixth straight seasons they've finished the year with a sub-500 record. Their last winning season came in 2011 when Mike London went 8-5 in his second season in Charlottesville. London's successor, Bronco Mendenhall, is now 8-17 as the Who's head coach. Jeremy Pruitt reportedly adding Florida State DC to Tennessee staff. Jeremy Pruitt is expected to add a very familiar face to his first Tennessee coaching staff. According to multiple media outlets, Pruitt is set to hire Charles Kelly as the Volunteers' defensive coordinator. As of yet, has not confirmed Kelly's addition. Kelly served as the coordinator at Florida State from 2014 through the 2017 season. He did not follow Jimbo Fisher to Texas A&M and wasn't going to be retained by Fisher's replacement, Willie Taggart. Kelly joined Fisher's staff in Tallahassee as linebackers coach in 2013 before being promoted to coordinator the following season. And the man he replaced? Pruitt, who left after the 2013 season for the same job at Georgia before moving on to Alabama. Prior to his time at FSU, Kelly spent 7 seasons as an assistant at Georgia Tech. Navy running through Virginia at halftime of Military Bowl. Navy came into its Military Bowl matchup with Virginia losers of 3 in a row in 6 of its last 7. After 30 minutes of play, the midshipmen appear to be headed back in the right, potentially winning direction. Things didn't start out well for the Service Academy, however, as the Cavaliers' Joe Reed returned the opening kickoff 98 yards for a touchdown. That was it for the Who's the remainder of the half as the midshipmen hold a commanding 28-7 lead at the half in a bowl game being played in their own home stadium. Navy scored on its first 2 offensive possessions in the first quarter, and both of the scores came, surprise, on the ground. Former starting quarterback Zacoby scored from 1 yard out to knot the score at 7-all, while current starting quarterback Malcolm Perry found the end zone from 22 yards away with just over 4 minutes left in the opening stanza to give Navy its first lead of the contest. After a lull that included just Navy's 17th 3-and-out this season, Perry posted his second rushing touchdown on the afternoon, this one a 19-yarder, to push the lead into double digits. Following a Virginia fumble on the ensuing possession, the Who's second turnover in the half, LB scored his second rushing touchdown on a 1-yard run to push the lead to 3 scores. Navy, which came into the game second in the country averaging 343 yards a game on the ground, put up 264 first-half rushing yards on a Cavaliers defense that had almost no answer for that facet of the midshipmen's offense. In fact, that was the only facet of the Service Academy's offense as Navy once again didn't even attempt a pass. 8 different Navy players carried the ball at least once, with Perry leading the way with 109 yards on 14 attempts. Conversely, the Cavaliers could do next to nothing offensively either on the ground or through the air. UVA managed just 79 yards of offense, 69 passing and 10 rushing. Quarterback Kurt Bankert struggled throughout, completing just 8 of 20 passes for all 69 of those passing yards and an interception. Benkert came into the game averaging more than 250 yards per game through the air, and had thrown 26 touchdowns and 8 picks. Navy will get the ball back to start the second half.